Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel today. I have a new literature unit for you. I've had some requests for a literature unit for Pollyanna, and I thought that would be a really fun one to do, so I went ahead and made one. So I'm just going to kind of show you what they look like. If you're new to my channel, I have several literature units that go with these Classic Start Series books. I think they're really good for younger readers, so if you have an early elementary school reader, even up to, I think 5th grade is kind of pushing it a little bit, but they're really good as far as introducing classics to your younger readers. So today we're going to do a literature unit for Pollyanna. It's being retold from the Eleanor Porter original, and basically it's just an abridged version to make the reading a little bit easier. If you do have an older student, you can certainly use the regular version, although my questions and assignments probably won't match up. So what you're getting when you purchase this unit is all of the downloads to make this lapbook right here, which I'll show you, along with the teacher's manual. Alright, and so the teacher's manual always comes with a link to the book just so you know which one I used. Any materials that you need, in this case you just need the download itself and then some supplies to make the lapbook. It also has instructions on what to do prior to reading and instructions on anything else that you might need to do as you go through. And then as you go through each of the lessons, there'll be a chapter along with a mini book along with questions and answers in here. Of course, the answers are not in the student part of this download, but you do have them in here in case you don't have time to read the book. You can just go ahead and give the book to your student, they can read it, and then you can ask these questions and their answers should somewhat match up with what is written here. And then there's one of those mini books and instructions for every chapter. There's also instructions on how to create the lapbook if you're new to that, and I do have a lapbook instruction video on my channel, and I will try to post that as well. And that is it for the teacher's manual. And then for the lapbook, alright, so let's take a look at the lapbook. So I basically just used the cover of the download, and I created my trifold lapbook here prior to starting. I will usually create these for my kids and then just hand them the kind of empty lapbook, and then they kind of can do all the insides. And you can certainly put books in here in any order. I'm going to show you how I organized it, but you can do it any way you want. And I've had a lot of questions on how I get the covers on here, and so basically what I do is I just use an Elmer's glue stick and I just glue it down to one side, flip it open, and then just cut along this edge so that it comes apart, and then glue the other side to this side. So it's fairly easy. So here's just one of the glue sticks that I use. They're just your standard glue sticks. They work really well. And I just run it on here and then paste down the cover, and you're good to go. Then on the back side, I've added an additional pocket back here, and this is what I use to keep all our reports in. And this particular lapbook comes with a predictions worksheet, so your student can kind of look at the book and predict some information about the story. And then at the end, it's fun to go back and compare and see what what they got right and what they got wrong based on just looking at the cover. There's also a literature timeline. So if they prefer to do little illustrations or just write down significant things, events in the story, they can do that as well. That's kind of optional. I do like to include it in there though. There's also a facts worksheet where students will list basically the setting, the plot, the main character, their favorite thing about it, and then there is a spot for an illustration as well. Some information on protagonists and antagonists. They'll identify who those people are, what the situation, problem, or basic overall issue of the book is, what kind of solution comes out of it. There's also another spot for an illustration here. And again, all these are kind of optional. You don't have to do those, especially if you have a younger child. You might want to kind of skip some of those worksheets. I think they're good for older kids. There's also a book report that comes with it, and so they can list out the author, illustrator, summary of the book, and then their actual thoughts here, and they can do an illustration. And then there's also a book versus movie report if you choose to watch a movie when you're done reading the book, and that just kind of asks them a couple questions that talks about the differences in the characters, differences in similarities and differences between the movie and the book, if the characters kind of match the ones that they had imagined when they were reading, and which version they prefer and why. So all of these are included, and again, I would do these with older students. I wouldn't necessarily do them with younger students, and I do like to keep them just tucked away in the back of the lapbook here. That way it's just kind of easy to find and kind of keeps everything together. And then if you look inside of the lapbook, you'll see that here's all the mini books that have information from each chapter. And I did, for this new unit, I don't have them on my older ones, but I did write which chapter was on here just to kind of help out. All of them have the chapter title, so they're fairly easy to find, but just to make it a little bit more helpful. There's always a vocabulary pocket with some vocabulary words that might be a little bit harder, and they'll be filling these out before they start reading so that when they hit those words, they'll actually already kind of know what they mean. And then, of course, some of the books, like this one, has questions on it, and then they can just answer the questions inside here on their little book. Here's a couple more. Questions are on the front and they just flip them over. This one's kind of a fun little trifold. As you can see, if I can get it open here, kind of has the questions on the inside and they can just fold it up and ask. And then when you flip it up, there's a few more books up here and then a few more fun ones down here in the middle. This one was probably my favorite one from this one. It's like a little envelope that you create and then there's a letter with the questions inside on it, and that just tucks away inside there, which is kind of fun. And then this one is another little fold out where the questions are in there, and oops, I glued it on sideways, I'll have to fix that. Here's another one with fold out questions as well. So all of these different you know, little books are just a fun way for them to kind of remember what they've read. It's also good because they're all comprehension questions, and so you'll know that they actually read and understood their story as well. And then it's also kind of a nice little keepsake to when they're done reading that story. You know, they kind of have something they can put, you know, in their like we keep them all kind of in a binder. We can go back and flip through them and just remember the story and remember what it's about and that kind of thing. Plus it's a nice kind of artistic outlet, especially if you have somebody who doesn't necessarily love reading as much, but they really like creating things. This can kind of be a nice incentive to get them into reading a little bit more. And then what I found with these classic start books is they're all really fun. They're cute. I have probably, I think maybe 30 of them so far on my website, so there's several different ones to choose from. I just let my kids pick the one that they like the most, and they kind of, you know, can do that. My son does not like to do the lap books, so I actually don't make him do them. I just ask him the questions and he's fine with that. My daughters love to make the lap books, so I don't force them to do these, but I think they can be a really nice addition if you have somebody who enjoys doing that. And then at the same time, you're getting to ask them comprehension questions and they're learning vocabulary, and it just makes you know, reading a little bit more fun, and then learning through the classics as well. So this one is available for purchase on my website now. I'll try and make sure to link everything below. If you have any questions or if you have a book that you'd like me to add, please make sure to comment that below as well, and I'll see what I can do. I have a stack of them that I'm working on right now, so hopefully I will be able to get some more of these out to you soon. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.